Hello, welcome to the Centre of Computing History. I'm Pete and we're here today at the Made in Japan Festival. There's a lovely banner there, and as we pan round, look at all these machines here. Let's get that in focus. It's a bit quieter now, we've started filming at a quieter point on the Sunday. So who's first up? Adrian. Museum's very own Adrian. Tell us about these machines. What have we got here?
Well, I have got, first of all here, some PC engines. I did have the Super CD-ROM running earlier, but it decided to overheat the power supply.
Nice.
So we have swapped to the Geo here. So anyone knows the PC engine families, you've got the little white one. It's the one everyone knows. These are the later machines with the card slot built in and the CD-ROM drive.
Fantastic.
All in one. To what's called the Super CD standard. So basically it's able to do funkier effects. So a little bit of rotation, a little bit of scaling, that kind of thing.
A little bit of rotation, a little bit of scaling, a little bit of funkiness.
Absolutely. So yeah, so this is like the original PC engine, this one here. So this
was the one with composite, wasn't it?
Yep, so this is the Core Graphics 2. Absolutely no difference between that and the Core Graphics 1. Just the colour.
Oh, okay.
So it matches their funky new CD-ROM drive.
I do quite like this CD-ROM drive though, how it just slots in.
It really is quite nice indeed. And then, yeah, all the different models have different they all have their own controllers. So we've got the Super C, the Core Graphics 2's controller here. Then we've got things like the Super Graphics, which
I didn't realise that went into there as well. Fantastic.
So it can plug straight in, and this is the only combination that will play every single PC Engine game.
Oh, okay.
So there is one CD-ROM game that will only run on the 1.0 card, which is Ultimate Beast. If you try and plug it into any other combination of machine, it will basically, the level never ends.
Okay.
So it just keeps wandering forever and ever. The music stops, you can wander about on the screen, and it just sits there. So if you put Ultimate Beast into this machine, that's what it would do. It wouldn't work properly. But this one, yeah, it will take, of course, it will take all the other cards like the 1.0, 1.2, Super CD and the arcade card.
So what's the difference then between the Core Graphics and the Super Graphics? What's the upgrades on
Two
that?
graphics chips.
Ooh.
That's it. It's got posher graphics chips that don't flicker as much as the normal one.
And it's still quite a funky, they did have a nice sort of funky shape thing going on.
They did, and this one, you can look it up on the internet, folks. It's shaped rather weirdly because they were building all kinds of weird peripherals for it. So there was like a big steering wheel that would go right over the top of it and plug onto these. And there's a couple of them out in the world, but basically not very common. A couple of them never made it really past prototype stage.
So what was the one called that looked like a, it was a bit of a stingray sort of shape as well, wasn't it? Oh, we have that as well, look. Look at this, everyone, we've got things under the table.
Yes, so this one, I haven't unwrapped it.
Is this an unboxing as well?
This is an unboxing.
Look, bonus unboxing, guys.
Bonus unboxing, because a very, very, very generous person earlier on today said, do you want another PC Engine? And he said, I've got a shuttle, I want to give it away. And I was like, well, I've already got a shuttle. And then he showed me it, and it's all boxed.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it?
And beautiful, so this is...
Although the irony, if he couldn't even give a shuttle away, would have been quite...
Yeah, well, he gave it to the first person who said yes, and I was the first person he asked. So that probably tells you something about the...
I think we all know you'll never say no to a boxed machine.
I haven't got one of these boxed, so it's absolutely awesome. I'm also making a right big series of undoing. So yeah, here it is.
Well, let's have a look at that.
So this is actually the second model. This came out after the white PC Engine. and just before the core graphics.
Oh, okay.
So this was 1989.
So this can't go into the CD either, can it? Because of the shape.
This is the only one that will not talk to a CD unit because it hasn't got the wiring for it. And here it is.
Oh, look at this beautiful thing.
Oh, and this one's, it's got the often missing expansion cover on the back there. And all that's for on this machine is a battery backup or a backup unit for RAM.
Oh, okay.
So you can save your games. And nice little slot there. And yeah, it was aimed at kids apparently. And it was supposed to be like a reduced cost one.
Oh, okay.
I don't see how you'd reduce the cost of this enormous.
Yeah, it's about twice the size in plastic.
And it has the branding like the core graphics, so the grey and pale blue.
Uh-huh.
And that was the next machine along was the core graphics. And it's got its own funky joypad. Like I said earlier, these often have their own funky joypad. Look at that.
Lovely stuff.
It's actually really nice to hold. This is the one I use for all my machines.
Oh, so all compatible, the joysticks at least. You never know with these things, you can't take it for granted that they'll all be compatible.
Yeah, I mean, later on there's the last machine in the PC Engine range is the RX, and that has got a 6-button joystick for use with things like Street Fighter 2. So, yes.
Well, what a very generous chap. I mean, if he's watching, what an absolute star.
Yeah. He's actually over there. So it's Phil. It's our friend Phil over there.
Oh, we'll get to him then.
We'll get to him later, yeah. Okay, my next machine here is the NEC. So continuing the NEC theme, this is what they were doing before the PC Engine. So this is the NEC PC-6001 Mark II.
Can we see it? Can we get in and see it?
So yes, there is a Mark I. The Mark I is incredibly simplistic. This is actually running a Mark I game, because for some reason today this thing is being a bit temperamental in loading software. So, and the great thing about the Mark II is you've generally got very little idea if it's actually working or not. But this is one of its games.
Oh, lovely. Can we open that up and see how the packing's like?
Pac-Man.
It's nicely packed, isn't it?
Yeah. And
nicely packed man.
this has got to be the world's best example of an upgrade of an original machine, because the original 6001 is massive. It's about this big. Pete, you know all about it because you fixed my one.
I do indeed, yeah.
You wouldn't want it dropped on your foot, would you?
Yeah, or your floor. I think it'd just damage everything it touched.
Absolutely. It's only a 16K machine. If we turn this one or reset it, and it goes to a new screen. So the first two basics are the original 6001.
Yep.
32K if you had a 16K RAM pack in the back, take it up to 32K, so the games would be just a little bit posher. And then if we open our cassette player up here, we're going to use what was the NEC altered Microsoft Basic. So that's number 5, so we put number 5. It asks you how many pages.
Huh?
So it's, in this case, we want 2 pages of memory. And then it comes in here and we go mon, don't know what that means. I think it's monitor or something. Then we do Shift and R, 0, press return, and then in about 12 minutes time, hopefully that will have loaded our Pac-Man game.
12 minutes, but
12
there's no
minutes.
indication that it's actually
Absolutely
loading
none.
or not.
No, you do with the older games, you get a little flickery thing in the corner of the screen. And basically, yeah, it uses the old Atari style joystick. And
So what were the other upgrades? They upgraded the keyboard as well, gave you a proper nice keyboard.
Proper keyboard, new sound chips if you select the later basic, so it sounds a lot better. It's got whole new graphics modes, high-res graphics instead of the, what was the Dragon chipset.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So that's got all this built in, so it's completely backwards compatible. A lot nicer looking.
Yeah, definitely so. A lot lighter.
A lot lighter, so yeah, I can lift this up without breaking my fingers. Yeah, of course, like the Mark I, an incredibly noisy speaker. instead of coming through the TV.
I can't remember on the Mark II, does it still click when you press each button? Or each key, I should say.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah. Do you remember the Mark I? It's literally
Mark I,
like, it's almost like Morse code when you type in.
Absolutely. Click, 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 and all the rest of it, yeah. Now, yesterday I had out my Tomy Tutors. So, here's the Mark I.
These are pretty rare in themselves, aren't they?
So these aren't terribly common. So they were brought out as an educational machine. But it's based on the TR-99 chipset, so it's incredibly powerful. So there was a great missed opportunity to have a really powerful home micro on the market, and Tomy took no advantage of that altogether. These are supposed to go into tens of thousands of schools, or sell tens of thousands in schools. I think they sold about 40,000.
Oh wow!
They really expected to sell like 90,000 in the first year.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a little bit of a flop. So when you turn it on, there is you can pick basic, or you can go into like a graphics drawing program.
Okay.
Or then you can, if you go into basic, you load off a tape, or plug a cartridge in, because we have plenty of games released for it, and you can actually select from the menu, select cartridge.
Fantastic. So you said about the NEC 6001 Mark II, which is here, and it's one of the best upgrades that you've seen from a Mark I to a Mark II.
Absolutely.
So the Tomy Tutor has a Mark II.
It does.
Oh, sorry, the Tutor, as it's known in Japan.
Yeah.
So, you've got a Mark II here of the Tomy.
Yeah, this is the Mark II. I'll get it back out of its packaging. Here it is.
So this, at first glance, actually looks a lot better than the Mark I. It's got a nice keyboard.
If we take the Mark I back next to it, there we go.
Here we go.
So the Mark II is not at all common. It's even rarer than the original.
The Mark II is incredibly rare.
There we go. Now,
side by side. So, the Mark II then, like the NEC, is it an amazing upgrade?
No. Now, I'm going to borrow Mr. Krang's box here, because I also brought out the Tutor in console form.
Consolised version.
So here we have the Junior. Now the Tutor has got lovely composite out. Here we've got the cassette port, we've got the joystick ports, we've got RF on there. The Tutor is literally RF and a joystick port.
Okay.
Of course, you don't need to load tapes into it. But it's got all the keys you need to launch a game, so 1 and 2, return, enter. So it's parts of the computer, but literally when you turn this on, you've only got option to load from cartridge.
Okay.
And then
which is okay for a console.
which is okay. That's great for a console. Now the Mark II, they had a whole stack of unsold junior boards. So they thought, well, let's upgrade the computer. So they put the junior board inside this lovely case with this lovely keyboard and cartridge slot as usual. And of course, being a Tutor, they have added back the tape interface, but we've only got RF. We haven't got the composite.
Okay.
And we have got the expansion board here, but as far as I'm aware, it doesn't work.
Oh.
So I'll try plugging in my multi-card that I use on my original Mark I here. Just get a blue screen, it doesn't do anything. Now the great surprise with this is, you plug this in, it's got the BIOS from the Mark I. So it comes up with basic graphics, and then if you've got a cartridge in, launch the cartridge. Now the brilliant thing about it is, you turn this on, switch on, you select basic, it just returns you to the title screen. Because although they put the BIOS in, there's no basic chip in it.
Because it still thinks it's a console.
So it still thinks it's a console. Now you can get a Mark II basic card that you can plug in, but you can't choose the basic option on the screen because it will still crash. You have to load the basic cartridge. So it's, as upgrades go, apart from it's a lovely keyboard, it could have been an awful lot better. Essentially, without the basic cart, it's a junior with a keyboard.
So we've almost, in this shot, we've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous, with the NEC Mark II being a fantastic upgrade, and the Tomy being a console in a box.
Absolutely. Absolutely incredible. We don't know whether it's an oversight or whether it was deliberately made that way. We just absolutely have no idea.
Okay, so moving on.
Yep.
What do we have here?
Well, one of my other little passions is my Neo Geos.
Oh, you do like your Neo Geos.
My Neo Geos.
He does Adrian.
It's going to have the front loader here, which is enormous, about this big. But it started making a clicking noise when I load a disc, so I thought I'll investigate that before I bring that out. So instead, we've got its younger brother. So this is the Neo Geo CDZ. This is the third CD machine. So you had, as I say, you had the front loader, then you had the top loader that was also huge, and then in Japan only they had the Neo Geo CDZ. Now, anyone who knows Neo Geo, they were arcade experts from the late 80s, early 90s.
Very much so.
And yes, so we've got the cartridge machine, we'll come to that in a minute. Massively expensive for reasons we will talk about in a moment, but for a cheaper option you could have the CD. The big problem with the CD is loading times.
Okay.
So because of the way Neo Geo works, you don't load the program off, so the cartridge machine loads instantly. All the graphics sound are on the cart, make them incredibly expensive. The CDZ is the answer, in a way, to the original CD machine. Single speed drive, not a lot of memory in it, took ages to load a game. This makes things a little bit better. This will load a game in about 30 seconds. So it's about double speed. You read on Wikipedia and it always annoys me, it's got a double speed drive in it. No, it doesn't. It has double the cache memory. So it just has more memory to shuffle things around. So it's not having to load things quite as often as the original. You will hear the original CD machines hammering the disc all the time.
So for example then, if you complete a level on Ninja Commando, how long does it take to load the next level? Is it instant or does it take time to...
Ninja Commando's not too bad, it's about 15 seconds. On a normal CD machine it's about 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
Yes. On some of the fighting games though, it can be up to a minute on the original, about 30 seconds on this one.
And compared to the cartridge, which is instant, that's incredible.
So, where you had these other consoles, the SNES and all that, they would just load everything straight to memory. These don't work quite the same way. This has an unfair reputation for being unreliable. It's, it overheats.
Okay.
And it stops reading the discs. It does if you don't look after it. So,
like most things?
Yeah, so every now and then I open it up and I will grease the rails that the CD thing travels on. Otherwise, the CD head jams on the rails. So just look after these things, use them. That's the biggest thing.
Definitely a good tip for people. If you keep using them, it preserves them.
The other thing, probably not to do with it, is don't use it as a CD player, because that seems to make them go very hot. And also, a lot of people say, oh, crikey, my one, it conked out after a couple of days. It will if you use pirate discs on it. It doesn't like copied discs.
Your copied disc of Rick Astley that you were playing on it.
There you go. Yeah, that has not loaded. I don't know what's wrong with that today, but we're going to have words when this is over. Yeah, so if anyone sees one of these, they're colossally expensive now. They're £400 or £500.
Oh wow, I didn't realise that.
They've gone up in price an awful lot. They also, you sneeze near them and they scratch. This surface scratches so easily. I've really looked after this over the years, and it's
very nice. So.
It's still pretty nice, but they scratch incredibly easily. But I do like the styling of that very much. And of course it will use all the controllers that the original used, either the what's called the kidney bean, for obvious reasons. And then of course as we move along here, we've got our
cartridge version.
Original joystick, very much like the arcade machines have. And here is our Neo Geo, what was the Rolls Royce of consoles back in the early 90s. Almost mythical if you could come across them. You come across them in import shops, none of the big retailers sold them because they were colossally expensive. So I think it was about £650 for the base unit.
Wow.
And then because the cartridges are absolutely enormous in size.
Yeah, they've got 2 circuit boards, haven't they?
They do indeed. So I've got a couple of boxes here.
Oh, look at the packaging is just...
Look at this. So
wow.
this is Magician Lord, 46 megs, when I think a lot of SNES games were 10, 15, something like that.
Yeah,
People will tell us if I'm wrong. But yeah, here's your cartridge. These are still in nice nick. I've still got the sticker that used to hold the case shut
Awesome.
on the inside. And like any plastic, they start decaying and they do start splitting along here. You find an awful lot with split. But just don't hide them away in cupboards. Put them on a shelf so they gas off nicely.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's our cartridge for its double board.
Just see the double board in there.
Double arcade board. So this is a home system. They also had the MVS, which if you've got a jammer board and a super gun, you can get the games an awful lot cheaper.
Yeah, that's the one I've got because I haven't got the money that you've got, or the luck. Shall I say the luck that you've got to find these when you did?
Definitely luck with these because I bought them years ago. So there was a period when the PlayStation launched where no one wanted 2D games anymore. So the bottom fell out of the market for the Neo Geo for a little while.
Oh wow!
And you could pick these up for £15–20
Unbelievable.
at a time.
That's incredible.
I picked this up for literally 20 quid.
And how much would that go for now?
Magician Lord, I don't know, a couple of hundred, something like that.
Wow.
But this one, I bought this for £80. Long time ago. Depending on its condition, this one is in very, very good condition. I've seen these go for like 600.
Oh wow.
So,
and that's the one you said I could have.
if I ever
I think you all heard a yes there.
But, yeah. So
But if we look at the graphics, I mean, it's
I think we've got the.
it's arcade through and through. It's absolutely fantastic.
So we're someone's swapped the joypads around. Of course they have. So yeah, as the 2D machines go, it's probably king. This is my go-to game, Top Hunter, if I just want 15 minutes of fun. Trouble is, I'm going to start playing this now and then it's just going to be...
Yeah, this is the video from there.
Pull the chain, there we go. And these are absolutely, of course, identical to the arcade machines. It is the arcade game in the home. Oh, it's that cheeky little devil. Right.
It certainly is a beautiful machine.
Yeah, so I got this one very luckily. So my local newsagent, near where I used to live, used to rent the machines out.
Okay.
So I used to rent this out for £10 for a weekend, with usually Samurai Fighter, Samurai Spirits even. Samurai Spirits, here it is.
There we go.
And when the PlayStation came out, he couldn't rent it out anymore, only to me. So he said, do you want to buy the whole thing for like 80 quid with 2 games?
Wow.
So it was Samurai Spirits and Soccer Brawl. And then
that's not a bad price at all.
no, then I had a market stall that sold video games, and he offered me 10 games for 25 quid each. And like an idiot, I said I haven't got 250 quid, and I did. But at the time, someone would have killed me. So basically, I didn't do it. And that's always been one of my big regrets. I could have had another 10 of these. I've got 11 of them.
It's something about collecting. We've all got regrets.
Yeah.
There's always something that everyone... In fact, I might do that. Go around in a minute asking people for their regrets.
Absolutely. But
Don't worry, I won't.
But yeah, so the bigger the game, the bigger the price tag. So this was 46 meg. I think that was about £200, something like that, Magician Lord, back when it was new.
And this was in roughly
1990, yeah.
1990.
And then you've got these games, they're what they're called 100 meg shockers, so they're 100 meg plus games. And
My
these were like
first car
£300, £325 when they were new.
My first car didn't cost me £325.
No, so these were really elitist things, and it's really weird actually because people come around my house and see all my other machines, but it's really this one they want to play with. It's the Neo Geo they go to because of its mythical status. Wow, you got a Neo Geo. But essentially, the console is just a processor, some video RAM, and input and output.
So everything's basically in the
Everything
cartridge.
else is on the cartridge. So the game, graphics, sound. I think the game processor is on this whacking great car.
Certainly is a lovely machine.
Until recently, I mean, games are still coming out on the AES, colossal amounts of money. So that's the Neo Geos.
So that's the Neo Geos. Well, we've got one left on there. Moving on, talking of lovely looking machines.
The National.
What is this?
The National JR-200. So National is the Japanese name of Panasonic. So Matsushita being the parent company. And yes, this was got a keyboard very much like the Sega ST3000. And we did manage to load something onto it earlier, and it was completely rubbish, but it was like £40 from Japan, so I thought it'd be rude not to buy it.
It was, what was it called? Breakdown.
Breakdown, yes, and it was a very, very strange, look it up on YouTube, JR-200 Breakdown. It was like a very wobbly ball going up the screen, hitting a brick, coming back down, wobbling back down the screen. But it's just one of these fascinating machines that's, you know, we'd never have seen this in a million years over here.
No, not at all.
There was a Panasonic version, which I think went to America. But yeah, it's just a very quirky little machine.
And the Panasonic version had the same name as well, wasn't it? It was the JR-200.
Yeah.
Because there was a 100 as well, wasn't
There was a 100. That's, I think, got a membrane keyboard.
Yes, it has, yeah.
So, and even less memory. I mean, this has got, I think it's 48k of memory, or 32 or 48, I forget. But it's, so it wasn't a slouch, but there's something not quite right with the speed of it from the games we were looking at earlier. So,
oh, yes, absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much, Adrian.
You are welcome.
We'll catch you in the next video.
Will do.
Right, next up, we've got the museum's very own Phil from Phil and Adrian show. So, what's your theme today, Phil?
So Sega stuff.
Lovely.
So we've got have got all of the computers that Sega ever made, and they made 3 of them. First up, got the Sega Terra Drive. It's a lovely looking piece of kit.
This is an incredibly rare and expensive machine as well. You don't see many of these about at all.
No, they pop up on eBay occasionally, although usually not with the monitors. Japan exclusive. It's basically an IBM PS2 merged with a Mega Drive, and unlike the Amstrad Mega PC, it's not just 2 machines in one box. They are integrated, and the PC side can control the
Oh wow!
side. They've got it running Virtual Racer, but if you flip it over, it boots into DOS/V, which was the Japanese version of DOS that ran in graphical mode, so you can type all the kanji.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm straight in. Oh no, loading. There we go.
It loads into this little thing where you can format floppy disks. If you do that, it'll boot into DOS proper. And it's a Model 3, so this actually has a hard drive in it rather than dual floppies. Yeah, it loads all these weird device drivers because it's actually running graphical mode, and compatibility with the old versions. It still supports the text mode stuff and just copies it over to the graphics side.
Fantastic.
Lovely to get that on.
That's a beautiful machine.
So many things. It supports like 4 different ways of entering text.
And the smallest spacebar I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's had to shovel the keys in there, between different input modes.
Squeeze them in.
It's got the mouse as well and the branded gamepad, so it's quite nice. And there's also the Sega AI. And this one's a bit of a mystery, there's not much about it on the web. But
I've never seen one of these.
no, if you focus down on here, you can see it says AI Computer Sega Prolog. So Prolog, the programming language, it could run this, I guess. And it's supposed to be an educational computer sold to schools, which I think is why the Sega branding is so muted.
Okay.
Software came on cards, similar to the Master System. It also loaded and saved to cassette.
Oh wow, look at this.
A bit weird. High-speed loading system, so it claims. Detachable keyboard, microphone input, and a touchpad where you could get overlays that you put on there.
Oh, incredible.
But there's no software for it I've ever found. So if you turn it on, it boots to a screen that basically says, please insert a card.
Oh, and that's it. We're done.
That's pretty much
That's still fun though.
quite unusual. I've never seen another one. I've got a Mark III, of course. Lovely looking machine, that one. Style-wise, it could fit straight on the set of the Nostromo.
It's lovely.
We've got the telecom pack here, so normally you'd have composites out the back, or RF. this plugs in and transmits the RF wirelessly to the receiver, which you put onto your TV.
This is something I'm very fond of. I just love the styling of the receiver. Is just
It
like
looks amazing. It's just a simple
it's
wire built into
lovely.
the back of it, but they made it look fancy like a satellite dish. And the idea was you'd have your very short joypad lead and the machine next to you, and a TV can be the other side of the room as far away as you like.
Have you tried to test it for distance, or does it not work on European TV signal?
No, it's NTSC-J RF. So the plan was to have it running out to this machine, which can do that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't plan ahead, and it's got the old school pigtail connectors.
Oh no.
This has a Type F connector on the back. Also, I forgot to bring the remote, so I can't tune it. Anyway.
These schoolboy errors, Phil.
Yeah. But we've got this one running Typing of the Dead. So this is Diverse 2000 CX1. So it's a really nice TV in its own right, but it's also got a built-in Dreamcast in the top.
Let's get round the side of this because it's got a very Sonic looking. I mean, that's just incredible. It's styling's lovely.
It's lovely styling. And we've actually got a video on YouTube where we open one of these up, and we expected it to be like a really custom job on the inside, but it's literally a bog standard Dreamcast bolted to the top of the chassis.
Oh,
And you hit a button and it just flips the relay, turns the Dreamcast on, switches to the ME channel.
we'll have to put a link to that video in the description because that'll be an interesting one to watch.
It's also got light up LEDs when the sound goes up.
We're lighting up. We're going.
And we're on it.
Hey, there we go.
It's the same thing you get on stereo systems where they get your bar graph that goes up and down.
Yeah.
It's the exact same chip driving that.
Oh, fantastic. So this is playing Typing of the Dead as well, which is
Yeah, so it's
an
House of the Dead
incredibly-
from the arcade, but rather than using a light gun, you type in what it says on screen. If you get it right, you shoot the zombies, and if you don't, they get you.
And isn't your character actually running around with a Dreamcast keyboard as well?
Yeah, you only see it in the cutscenes, but you see it on the box art here. They've reskinned it, so they've got keyboards over their shoulder that they type on, and little Dreamcast backpacks.
It's lovely, isn't it?
I've never played it all the way through, but apparently, if you complete it, the ending is completely wild.
Oh well, there's a challenge.
Yeah, the Dreamcast version only does Japanese text though. The PC version had like a learn English mode where it would give you English text.
Okay.
So it's a little bit tricky. Nice enough.
Yeah, it's tricky if you don't speak Japanese.
You can that's,
You can actually, yeah. It's a very good educational machine. So if you've got about 1,500 quid and you want to learn Japanese against zombies,
why wouldn't you? In this table, it's a bit more of a mix. So we've got a wall of power adapters, all really quite warm. And I've only got the one monitor, so I'm switching between them with this switcher here. So we've got the SC3000. So this is the third and final computer that Sega ever produced, chronologically the first, because it's actually an SG-1000 games console with a keyboard attached.
oh, I didn't realise it was just a 1,000.
Yeah, you could actually get an SG-1000 or a Mark II and buy the SK1100 keyboard to
Yes.
the equivalent.
That's the one I've got myself. Yeah, and I never got the 3,000.
Yeah, I mean, it'll play all the SG-1000 games, so Pop Flamer, GP, Qbert, although I think this ROM has gone a bit dodgy. Qbert doesn't run anymore.
Lovely box.
But it will also run BASIC. So this is actually the power version of BASIC, which is why it says export version with diareses.
Just trying to get us to focus. There we go. So we got the Sega's basic there.
It's a fairly standard BASIC thing. You can do the whole 10, print hello world, 20 go to 10. Oh, I can't type on this keyboard. It's a terrible keyboard. They did an SC3000H which had proper moulded keycaps.
Oh wow.
Mechanical travel. I've got one of those, but not here. But yeah, the basic cartridge actually has extra RAM chips in it. So all this 12,000 bytes free, that's more RAM than you'd have without the basic cart in.
Oh okay.
They're nice little machines. They also did a French version, Yeno, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but they did the French version. And that one's slightly nicer because rather than composite and RGB, that one will do composite and RF. The French version will do composite and RGB because French required it to go to
Of course, yeah. So, can you save? If you typed a program on here, could you actually save to cassette?
Yeah, there's a cassette port on the back. It's one of these, that's what the era where everything was DIN sockets, so don't mix them up. That one's video, that's printer, that'd be Centronics, and you've got in and out audio jacks.
Ah, excellent. So you can actually save what you do.
Yeah, it'd be
To
a
an
complete
extent.
pain. Because
Well, you've got to type it first.
Saving the cassette is easy, loading for the cassette is a nightmare.
Oh, okay.
Every time I've tried it. Channel 2, of course, we've got the Mega Drive, and it's an early Mega Drive. I'm not sure if it's early one with the expansion port.
Is this a PAL Asia one, or?
There must be one with the but it's got the modem plugged in. Of course, I'm an idiot. Yeah, this is a Japanese model, not the PAL
Which is
one.
handy for the Japanese Made in Japan festival. Now I think of it.
Model 1 Mega CD, plugged in but not turned on. And we've got Sega multi-tap, which is a little bit weird, incompatible with the EA multi-tap. And, you know, the little mouse, just because we're not using it, it's just there so it looks nice.
So I've not seen a modem before, actually. Not in real life.
There are a couple of games that supported head-to-head play, and there was also a banking app where you could dial into your bank and do transfers, check your balance, that sort of thing.
Oh, great.
It had like an offline mode where you could practice with sort of demo bank accounts. Somebody's dumped the ROM online so you can play it without the modem attached.
So you could have a demo bank on your Mega Drive. Doesn't seem right somehow, does it?
Doing any online banking at all on a Mega Drive seems a bit weird. Right. We also got another Mega Drive here, the Mega Jet. So originally these were Japan Airlines in-flight entertainment. You'd rent these and there'd be an LCD in the back of the seat in front of you. Obviously you can't get those because they were sold off with the airplanes.
Of course.
But Alpine did backs over the seat LCD screens for your cars to keep your kids entertained. And this one was sold alongside those so you could play your Mega Drive in your car.
So this is the same guys that used to sell the stereos and that. They did the. Is it the same ones?
It could well be.
It looks a similar.
I've actually looked into their
logo.
other products, but it's basically a Mega Drive 2 in a little portable one. Space for a second controller to be plugged in. Mega Drive 2 AV out. And yeah, no batteries, but it did come with a cigarette adapter for your car. Back before it turned into like 12-volt power outlets.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's the dream even now, isn't it? Just to get a Sega Mega Drive and just play on the plane on the way to wherever you're heading.
Yeah, I mean the alternative would have been the Nomad, which chewed through batteries.
Of course, yeah.
And then yeah, Channel 4 we've got the Pico, which doesn't look the same, but it was actually Sega's longest running console. I think they produced them up to 2015. And it's for young kids basically. You get software on these, I call them storyware. It's a ROM cartridge and a book. And the idea is that the machine can tell which page of the book you're looking at with these light sensors.
Oh, okay.
It's got a digitizer. So I think it was the first console to have an active digitizer, so you could do paint programs and drag stuff around. This particular book doesn't use the digitizer. It's got this driving wheel overlay that clamps on top. And you can steer your car on the screen, so left and right.
Oh, here we go.
You've got an indicator, you can do right and left, you can sound your horn. It's fairly simple gameplay. You drive along, dodge the obstacles, occasionally there's a hook, an obstacle.
Nice little game to start with though. It's very friendly graphics for that age group.
Yeah.
You know, the 35 to 40 market.
It's quite good fun.
So you can learn to drive on this and then do your banking on the Mega Drive and you're basically an adult all of a sudden, aren't you?
Up, don't you? There are other attachments, so this one here was a hospital, learn how to do nursing type thing, take people's temperature, measure their height, that sort of thing. It's got a little thing for injecting people.
just a thing for injecting people. If we look in just in here though, we can see how the book works. So there's the lights that go along here, and if you shut the book, each page covers up one of the lights. So it's a very simple system, but really good for
and
really good for how to run it.
You can't tell by looking at it, but this is actually based on the Mega Drive. So it's the same, I suppose, the same hardware as the Mega Drive 2, but they ripped out the Z80 because they didn't need it, made Master System back compatibility here, and they replaced it with a DMA chip so they can do sample voice. So
okay.
In this one, whenever you encounter a minigame one, the characters will turn around and they'll speak to you. And it's surprisingly good quality.
Excellent stuff. Okay, well, thanks very much, Phil.
That's right.
And we'll see you on the next video. Maybe even another Adrian and Phil show.
We ought to do some more of those.
Who knows? Maybe a Christmas special.
Let's hope so.
Thanks very much. Right, so we're here with another display which is absolutely fantastic. And it's run by...
I'm Dan.
Dan. And he's got his Michael Jackson gloves on. Sadly, his sequins have fallen off, but...
These are my legit trained driving gloves. All the way from Japan. Imported
Gloves.
Gloves, yeah.
So, hello Dan.
Hello,
What have we got here?
I've got a few of my train games. It's my favourite series. It's Denture to Go. Let's Go by Train. I freaking love this stuff. And yeah, it's underrepresented because no one cares about it except for me and like 4 people on the Denture to Go subreddit. So I thought I'd bring it here and let the world know how awesome Japanese train sims are. And I succeeded because we've got the amazing Wii one, the Shinkansen X on the Wii with the official Shinkansen controller set up here. Quite astounding. Got the Denture to Go 3, the first one on the PlayStation 2 with the one-handle controller.
Okay.
And we've got the plug and play on the end here. It's all in self-contained unit. Playing Denture to Go Final from 2004. Actually came out in 2017, I want to say it's came out. Yeah.
So the plug and play one actually looks quite good. Is it as good as it sort of seems?
It's not bad. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I said, it's like a PS2 emulated on an SBC inside there, single board computer inside there. And essentially, yeah, it's an HD upgrade for the Final one over there, Denture to Go Final on the PS2 from 2004. It's great because it's a little time capsule because all the data is the same. So all the trains are from 2004, all the schedules from 2004, all the scenery from 2004. So it's a nice little time machine, little time capsule for Japanese trains.
Yeah.
And if that's your bag, that's pretty good. And yeah, it's HDMI out, so it doesn't look as horrible as all these things running on composite or the like.
Yeah, we can see on the demo here, it's so much nostalgia of these trains and stuff. Because
Right.
you actually lived in Japan, didn't you?
You did, yeah, and it's a big part. And like, I mean, you can't even get your head around how enormously important. It's like the number 1 mode of transport there. Like, you know, and the whole country just crisscross. You can go anywhere, but you don't even need a car. You could happily live for I did live for 7 years without a car. I went everywhere by train and by bike. It's amazing. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, they love it.
So talk us about where is this lovely display from, or how did it come about?
These are all imports. So a couple of these games I actually bought when I was out in Japan. I got the marquee on a Japanese auction website and got it shipped over. Horrifying expense and wired some lights into it. But yeah, just picking things up as I've been going along. I had the one for the Wii. I think that might be the first one I bought. Is the one on the Wii. Thought it was a bit of a novelty game, and that probably kick-started my whole fascination. Yeah.
It's a lovely little collection though.
It's not bad. I mean, there's obviously this is just the mainline games. I had loads of other games. They came out on the Wonder Swan. They came out on the Neo Geo Pocket over there. Yeah, loads of different things. I had PC ports for most of them. Yeah, it's crazy. Saturn even got one. The precious Saturn got Denture to Go X, which is the same as Denture to Go 1 with extended tracks. But it looks and plays like an absolute dog, unsurprisingly.
So it's this one here.
Yeah. Dig it out. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty smart in that it is, extended.
Out of the light.
But yeah.
Lovely thing.
So, yeah, so they're all pretty much modern trains. So for this one, this is actually, so this is called Denture to Go. This one's called Kisha to Go. Kisha meaning steam train. So that's a steam train simulator.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
it's as miserable as it sounds.
Oh, and that's on the PlayStation?
Yeah, PlayStation 1. It's a bit of the black sheep of the lot, really.
It doesn't sound miserable.
No, it really is. 80% of your screen is the HUD, which is the internals of a steam locomotive, and you get that much of the screen of where you're going and what you're looking at. It's quite exciting. 2-player, pocket station. All these games have pocket station support as well.
Two players, so does someone have to shovel the coal?
That's exactly
and
what you
you
do.
really?
Yeah, or in other games, people can be the announcer. So one person driving the train, and player 2 can be the person who tells the passengers what stations come up next. Wicked.
That really does sound riveting.
Doesn't it sound like the most fun you can have with 2 people in the house?
Get your friends round. Let's. You can be the announcer.
Oh, it's my turn to be the announcer. Go on.
Yeah, you're going to fight over that one, aren't you? You know you are.
Nice.
I'll be player 1 doing the announcing.
So yeah, and that's it really. You know, it was amazing, and yeah.
So what about this end one here, though?
This is for kids. This is a legitimate Denture to Go for babies. See, it proves it. It says basically you battle along as you get the announcement that their station's coming up, and you stab on your anchors. Any second now. Scrolling scenery, HD. Oh, that's our warning.
All in real
And here it
time.
is. Oh, the station stopped. That's the people getting on the train.
There we go.
Shibata Shinko, let's go.
It's not a bad little representation for,
It's all right,
for a child's game.
Yeah, it's really fun.
I mean, we had similar things here with the racing game, didn't we? It was
yeah,
like a Tomy one.
The
I think.
Tomy one, yeah. That was amazing.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Dan.
No,
That's one of the better displays here.
I don't know about that, but thanks for taking an interest in
Until
mine.
we go in the other room. But,
Yeah, exactly. So actually, with the big boys have real things. But, you know, it's all right, isn't it?
Fantastic. Thanks ever so much. Cheers.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're back in the main hall, and right now we've got Quang.
Hello.
Hello, Quang. So, tell us what your theme is then.
So, we all know the Nintendo Famicom. It was the king of consoles in Japan. It came out, it was best-selling around the world. It did great. Obviously, in 1983 was when in America they had the video game crash. Sad times for video games over there. But in Japan, 83 was the year the Famicom came out, and it was great. But there were tons of other consoles that also came out around that time. So I decided to bring all the consoles that were made in 1983 or before.
Okay, so starting here, pre-Famicom machines.
Yeah.
What have we got? What's this lovely green one?
This lovely green one is the first Japanese console with its cartridges from 1977.
Oh wow!
It's a Takatoku, the company that made it, and it's the video cassette rock.
Excellent. What a great name as well.
It has the standard sort of Pong type game, so you can see it says, under here it says squash, hockey, tennis, practice soccer, and it's the same sort of Pong games. Cartridge slot now. It has these wonderful analog sticks. Can sit wherever you want them, player 1 and player 2. So very simple gaming concepts, but it was 1977, so good fun.
Is this the box for it? Is this black one?
It's the black box, yeah, exactly.
I don't know if we can get most of that in the shot, but it's very underwhelming box, isn't it?
Yeah,
compared to what the others are like.
A very subtle look to the box, but it's a beautiful green of the console.
The machine is absolutely lovely. I love that.
Yeah.
So moving on then to the.
So this is the Bandai TV Jack 5000. So this is 78 now we're looking at. And around that time we get along these lot of Pong game clone machines. This has a cartridge in it, so again you get the 10 machines. That's popped out, of course it did. And yeah, we had a lot of consoles based around the same chipset. And this is just the Japanese variation of that made by Bandai.
And it's got that lovely 70s almost like tobacco look about it.
So yeah, this is the brown one. It's also available in a brilliant blue.
Oh
which
wow!
Is lovely. It's a lovely blue version you can get for it as well.
Oh, we'll try and get a screenshot of that, put into the video.
You can see on the box the sort of games it plays there. Very simple, sort of Atari-based games, sort of things.
And this was 78, did you say?
78, yeah.
78. Look at that. Much better box as well. This is the thing about your collection, Quang. All the boxes are just the artwork just really stands out, and in such good condition.
For a big part of me, collecting the boxes is a big part of it because it's part of the nostalgia, part of the design. Someone took the time to design those boxes at the time, so I think they should be preserved where possible.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You've got to preserve these things without a doubt. Like I say, the artwork and everything is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Okay, so next up.
So moving on to the next year, I think it's 79. This is the Bandai Supervision 8000. So it's a bit of a upgrade from the TV Jack 5000. Has these wonderful disc-based controllers.
They're almost like in television ones.
Very similar to television, but I believe it's only a 4-direction pad rather than the television's 16-direction pad. On coiled springs like a ColecoVision, and it has number pad, also room for an insert for the game you're playing.
Great.
I've not tested this out yet because I haven't done any games for it.
Okay. Yeah.
So I need to find some games for it, then I can test it.
Well, it looks fantastic anyway, you know. It's almost good as new.
Yeah, I think this is new old stock because it's literally, I don't think it's been out of the box before that.
Oh wow. Oh, we should have done an unboxing for it.
So this is the Epoch TV game Cassette Vision from 1981.
1981.
Yeah, it's 1981. So if you think of something like the Atari 2600 in America, that was the console to get. This is what united the nation under getting consoles for video games.
Definitely.
In Japan, this was their version of it in terms of popularity. The Epoch TV game Cassette Vision set the Japan alight and made them want to get consoles. So before the Famicom was released, this was the console to get. You have a bunch of games on cartridges. You have these wonderful 2 dials, player 1, player 2, one for horizontal, one for vertical. You have the lever that goes left and right, and 2 push buttons. Also connected for a light gun as well if you need that.
Oh, it's got a light gun with it as well.
Yeah.
Of course, that early 80s, 70s Pong sort of style, they all loved that, didn't they?
Exactly that. It's Pong games and light gun games. Those were the games you would get.
Bread and butter games, as they call it.
Exactly.
Okay, next up, and again with a fantastic box there as well. Look at that.
Okay, so moving over, we got the Commodore Max machine.
Okay.
This is the console that Commodore released in Japan. They go at trying to reach the market in 1982. It's sort of a proto Commodore 64 in that it has a SID chip in there, so it makes the same bleeps and bloops. But the CPU is a little more limited. It only has 2 kilobytes of RAM.
Oh wow.
So one of the things they did was trying to say cut costs and make it as cheap as possible, and did that by cutting the RAM. The RAM was very expensive back then. Also, the keyboard here is a membrane keyboard with dome buttons and a touch spacebar. It's horrendous to type on.
It looks it.
But it has a lot of charm. I like the silver design on this.
I think it looks fantastic. It's a really, really nice looking machine. And it's ironic with all those cost-cutting things, that it's actually one of the more expensive Commodores now anyway.
Yeah, to find it now is quite rare because, again, it didn't do very well in Japan. I think they only had it on sale between 6 months and a year. They pulled it from market, so it didn't sell many at all.
Oh wow, only 6 months,
They're very difficult to get hold of. You can see it running a copy of Avenger, which is a Space Invaders clone. That's a very good conversion of it. The cartridge itself plugged in, it says Commodore 64 on the cartridge, but it's actually a Max Machine cartridge rebadged.
Oh wow.
So they re-released all the games that were for the Max on the Commodore 64, because if you plug a Max Machine cartridge into a Commodore 64, the Commodore 64 will recognize it as a Max Machine cartridge and run in Max Machine mode.
Oh, okay.
So you can't play 64 games on a Max Machine, but you can play Max Machine games on a Commodore 64. So that was a nice backwards compatibility thing they did, which people don't really know about.
So was there many games released for the Max itself?
Off the top of my head, I'd say about 20, I think. It's around about 15, 20.
Oh, so not too many at all then.
Yeah, just a handful.
So this telly though doesn't look standard.
This is a Super Famicom TV. It's Sharp's collaboration with Nintendo for the Super Famicom console into a TV. I brought it along so it could play the games.
Looks awesome. I love that.
That was not pre-1983.
Oh, okay. It's a ringer.
Yeah.
Okay, next up then.
Next up now we have the Nichibitsu My Vision. So Nichibitsu made arcade games. They normally made lots of great arcade games in the 80s and 90s. But they decided to make this console. If you're aware of the BBC Bridge Companion console,
yeah.
so that's a console made by the BBC specifically to play bridge. Well, this console here is specifically made to play Mahjong and Hanafuda card games.
Oh, okay.
So you can see the control buttons as a layout of 1 to 14 and some letters. And literally it takes a bunch of the different cartridges to play Mahjong and card games.
So the BBC Bridge Companion was about, what was it, $3.99 or $2.99 when it came out? It was a ridiculous amount of money.
Very expensive to play bridge.
Was this the equivalent sort of thing? Or
I
was
don't actually know. I would have to look it up, but off the top of my head, I don't remember the cost of this thing.
Because it's the sort of thing where you think, if another country is doing that as well, I'd be shocked. So it'd be interesting to find out. Okay, moving on then. Oh, I like these ones.
All right, so this is the Tomy Tutor Jr. This is a consoleized version of the Tomy Tutor, also known as the Tomy Tutor in America.
We saw that on Adrian's table earlier.
Yeah, so they took the insides and they made it into a console. I love the look of this. It's got a very 1970s retro future feel with the angles and the white. It's beautiful. It has these horrendous, again, paddle type controllers. This is up, down, left, right on a disc. I don't know what they're thinking there. 2 buttons. Both.
Again, though, these are similar to the Mattel Aquarius controllers. But yeah, very nice looking machine. That is.
And again, a handful of games are only available for it. They also released the computer. The cartridges are compatible on computer as well. You can play either or.
Oh, great! Lovely stuff. And I recognise this one. This is known as the German flag version, is it?
So this is the German flag version of the Sega SG-1000. It has the orange and the red stripe there rather than the blue and red, I'm going to say, normally. Yes, normally it's blue and red.
There's one in the case we can run over and check in a minute.
So
nothing to do with Germany at all other than the coincidence that the colours are similar to the flag.
Exactly that.
But it looks beautiful.
So the Sega SG-1000 was released the exact same day as as the Famicom in Japan, the Nintendo Famicom, 1983. So we're looking from here. This console onwards are going to be 1983. So same year the Famicom came out.
Sure.
So how disappointing would you be if you released your console in 1983 and it wasn't the Famicom?
And on that note, here's the Casio PV-1000.
Talking of consoles, at least 1983, I was disappointed.
I do like. This is one of my. I mean, it is quite basic, but it's one of my favourite looking consoles.
It's a beautiful design. It's got beautiful curves in the molding. It has a very 90s feel to it. For something that's released in '83, I feel it's got quite a 90s look to it.
Yeah.
Great curves, great colour. This is definitely one for visual design. I think it's one of my favourites. You can see on the box there, it came with a pachinko game, which is horrendous.
Yes. You just press, from memory, you just press this button on the joystick, and that's it.
Exactly that. Casio also released the PV-2000 at the same time, which is the computer. They're not compatible.
No.
The games are completely different. The cartridges are not compatible. The controls are compatible though, so you can use the joysticks of both of them, but not the cartridges.
But this is a multi-cut. Is this from Team Europe? This multi-cut?
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah, it's the multi-cut from Team Europe.
So if anyone's got a Casio PV-1000 and wants a multi-cut, I can definitely recommend the guys at Team Europe. Very good people. Okay, so next up.
So this is the Epoch Cassette Vision Junior. So earlier we saw the bestseller of the Epoch Cassette Vision. A little bit later on, in '83, they released a compact version of the same thing. Weirdly, it's only one player now, because they've taken away the dials on both sides.
Okay.
You've got a rocker switch here and 4 buttons there. And you can see on the cartridge, the games are still compatible, but they will now explain how you play on either the original compact, the original Cassette Vision or the new Cassette Vision Junior.
That's quite neat though, I quite like that.
So it's the same thing with Atari. Atari did the thing where they released the 2600 and the Junior and the Vader and other versions. So re-releasing, obviously there's a market for it and there's still a lot of love for it. This came out after the Famicom, obviously. Same year. So it's a choice.
I don't know if you'd be happy. Would you be happy if you got that instead of a Famicom?
Personally, no. But I know people who again, because the original Cassette Vision was such a great seller, people still love those games. And maybe the Cassette Vision is broken, or maybe they wanted a new one. You can see here, it was only 5,000 yen. So I guess the equivalent in today's money, maybe about 40 quid.
I suppose back in the day though, if you liked a game, you liked a game, or if you liked a certain range of games, that was it. So so fair point.
Releasing that was, I guess, an idea to still mop up some of that market still.
Excellent. And now for one of the strangest looking machines on display here.
So this is the Gakken Compact Vision TV Boy. Gakken, like Epoch, made a lot of the LCD games and VFD tabletop games, and did a lot of that. They got into the console market quite late in 1983. I'm going to say October, I might be wrong. But they released this crazy console looking thing here.
Can you just demonstrate how you'd put your hands on that to control it?
So you have the controller on the right hand side. This is up, down, left, right. On the left hand, you have a handle to hold it. Normally you would hold it on your lap. The cables coming out of this thing are really long. So your TV will be over there and you're sitting on the lap. You have an A button on this side and a B button on this side. And you move around like this and you fire here or here, depending on the game you have.
So I've got a question. I'm left-handed.
Yes. I am also left-handed, but this is fine because you get used to it. Your remote controls are quite special in that arcade games are all left-handed joysticks. You get used to it. Arcade used to be a joystick in the middle with buttons on either side, so you could choose. But it became standardized where the just on left hand. But you get used to playing games like the Atari joystick. It's a button on the left.
Very true.
Right
very true.
So 100% now.
A lot of games were cursor keys based. You use cursor keys in your right hand, and again, your brain will adapt.
Yeah, true. I have to practice with my left-handed screwdriver.
Exactly. You can see here the 6 games that are available for it. They were officially these 2 were done by Konami officially. Got you got Frogger and Super Chop game. Super Chopper? No, I think Sega. Super Cobra. That's the word.
That's the one.
Super Cobra. You have a Space Invaders clone, Mr. Bomb, which is like Kaboom. Robotown Wars is a wonderful game. This is one I'm playing now. This is one of my favorites. It's a Robotron game. And then you have 2000X, which is a sort of tank game.
Yeah. Again, the artwork on this and the silver shine on them is lovely, isn't it?
Love it so much.
It's like getting, when you used to get silvers in a pack of cards. It's like just getting that. It's awesome.
I'm sad that it was only 6 games that came out for it. I wish there were more. I have a lot of love for this machine. A lot of machines of this age, the cartridge actually has all the bits inside. So the CPU is in the cartridge itself.
Yes.
Rather than having it in the console.
Yeah, I remember we opened a cartridge up once because we were thinking of making it a multi-cart. Yeah, it didn't happen. I'm sure someone out there is cleverer than we are, but yeah, it didn't happen for us. Okay, so next up.
Okay, here we have the Atari 2800. This is Atari's attempt entering the Japanese market. Weirdly, they did actually release the VCS, the 2600, in Japan for a little bit. That went horribly wrong. So they pulled it very, very quickly. But so they rebadged it, they redesigned it for a Japanese market. You can see the casing here is very different design.
Very stealth.
It's actually the same casing they use in America for the Sears version of the Atari.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if you want something that looks like this, that plays Atari games, you have the Sears in America. This is a little more rare. And it's a beautiful design. The controllers you can see here have joysticks on top, but they're also spinners.
Oh wow!
Because normally you had paddle games on the Atari. This will play the paddle games as well as joystick games. And it had 4 joystick ports on the front for 4 players, rather than have to get a splitter cable on some of the games there.
So how popular was this? Because on the face of it, it's a very good, nice machine for the time.
It looks great and stuff, but again, it's 1983. You think this came out after the Famicom came out.
Very true.
So
Very
by
good
now,
point.
people have moved on. So it just didn't have the traction it would have had if it was been released 5-10 years ago.
Of course, yeah. Let's have a look at the boxes again though, because the boxes for the Gakken TV boys, lovely. And there we go.
Atari 2800 there.
That's lovely. Look how much fun the family's having. Even Grandad there's getting involved. That is beautiful scenes.
The colour boxes are down the end. I'm going to duck by there. There we go.
There we go.
Goodbye for the edge. All right.
So next up,
Last but not least, we have the Othello Multivision in 1983. This was the last console made in 1983 in Japan. It's actually an officially licensed Sega SG-1000 clone. So it plays the exact same games as the SG-1000 we saw earlier by Sega. So Sega originally, when they made the SG-1000, had the idea, like MSX, that we're going to create a standard that they could license out to other companies to make consoles. And this was made by Sukuda Original. They're the only ones that actually got around to making one before they pulled the plug on the SG-1000.
so this machine
Yes.
is, other than a couple of the controls on top, is identical to this machine.
Yes, it'll get the same cartridges, has the same CPU and all that. This one has Othello built into it, we call it the Othello Multivision. So you can see it's running Othello without a cartridge. If you've got a cartridge in there, it will play the cartridge. One of the downsides of this version, obviously, it's one player, the controller's on the system itself, and the buttons are across there, which means you couldn't play 2-player games at all. They did, the year after, in 1984, release a second version called the F200. This is the F100, which was had blue buttons and a control port for a second player, so you could play 2-player games. And that was the last console of 1983.
Oh wow. Absolutely fantastic. Well, thanks ever so much, Quang. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, we're running out of time a bit, so let's just do a quick scan of the classroom. We've got Adrian Graham here, known as Binary Dinosaur. Say hello. There he is. So we'll just go across his machines at the moment. So a lovely sharp display there.
There shall be a video on my channel on that.
And we've got the NBC 555 with a colour monitor. How nice is that?
You have to throw out the colours.
And then moving over here, we've got Tony Jewell, Here Be Dragons.
Well, there's no dragons.
Here Be No Dragons.
Dragons.
There we go, we can see people tidying up as well.
Quick, there's a camera coming, tidy up.
It's lovely, Hitachi there,
We'll film it.
Yamaha, FM7. Is there anything you want to talk about, Tony, while we're here?
Well, I switched off all the interesting sharp machines at this end.
Well, just pretend they're on.
I can tap away.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thanks ever so much, Tony. Interesting as always.
Absolutely, you'd be lost without me.
And just over here, we've got Tim Gilbert, known from Gilsoft and Quill and games like that, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
You recognise the
logo.
Quill.
Yeah, absolutely.
And here he is with his original NBC 555
No colour.
from the Gilsoft era.
Yeah, we literally ran everything we did. So we had Sage accounts for doing our finances. We used data staff for keeping our customer lists and our press contact list. The word processor was used to typeset the manuals. It basically ran the business. So, and today we discovered it had colour on it. We never knew.
Colour on this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Who knew?
Who knew? Well, Tony worked out and jacked it for cable in and we got colour.
Yeah, Tony, here be colour.
Absolutely.
Unlike a dragon, which is just here be green.
It was magic
We
dragon.
did make it look like a dragon.
It was a magic dragon.
Okay, moving on very quickly to the wonderful John Brown.
Just in time for me to have packed up. It's all now in his pocket. So if you want to see what was here, see, there's the box.
There we go, down there.
It's all right. All the consoles were on quite standard. And the loopy box.
Here's his FM Towns Marty.
Yes. We have the loopy.
And the Casio loopy there. We've got the amazing John Newcomb over there who's packing away his stuff. Say hello to the audience, John.
I could open this.
Go on, you. Oh, look at this suitcase full of tricks.
Ta-da.
Lovely, lovely. Do you know they've got 2 processors?
Yeah.
Yeah?
600 and something kilohertz.
The HX20. Right, and now to someone who really can talk, and hopefully we can add subtitles to the video, but
Here's 2 words for you, Pete.
keep them to yourself now.
Hello, mate. That's obviously what I was going to say.
All right.
What would you like to know?
All right, Sunbeam. Right, okay, so
What have we got?
Roy, what have we got?
RX78.
Sorry, Roy Templeman, obviously,
Loud Scots.
Loud Scots bloke on his Twitter handle, and so, let's go along the line.
So we've got the Bandai RX78. Lovely wee machine. Especially with the nigh on impossible joysticks to find.
Yeah, it's a beautiful machine,
She's
I
lovely.
really do like
Yeah,
this.
she's lovely. It's a shame you're filming when we've turned everything off.
Well, you know, you can blame Quain for that.
I will. I will.
So what is the keyboard actually like? I mean, it looks
It's not bad.
poor, but
It's not too bad. There's far worse. We'll get onto a very worse keyboard shortly.
oh, so they're not rubber
But-
keys, are they? They're
No,
actual
they're
plastic.
plastic. They're plastic. It is a membrane, but it is plastic. But it's got a decent amount of travel. You know, it's not too bad to type on. To be fair, it's not too bad.
So, the Fujitsu Micro 8, when did this come out? Because that is an absolutely beautiful tobacco colour.
It is a beautiful tobacco colour. It came out in 1980, but obviously designed in the 70s, as you can tell from the lovely colour scheme.
Because this isn't aged or anything, that is the colour.
That is the colour. It's not yellowed.
Yeah.
That is the colour. It is that tobacco. Tobacco orange, tobacco brown.
Fantastic.
It's awesome. I mean, this machine back in the day, spec-wise, was phenomenal because it came with 64k of RAM. It has an additional 48k of video RAM.
Wow.
And it has 2 6809 CPUs in it. Bearing in mind this was in 1980.
That's incredible, actually.
Yeah.
So what's the what's the flap for?
The flap. Yeah, the flap. So it's a shelf just to store your bubble memory, but it actually lifts out and you've got 2 slots in there.
Oh, so it actually takes bubble memory, does it?
You can put 2 bubble memory pods in there, both
Oh, wow.
32k each. And for anybody who doesn't know what bubble memory is, it's like the USB of the early 80s. So you'd plug your bubble memory in, you'd write 32k worth of data, you'd unplug it, go and take it somewhere else, and plug it into another machine and read it from there.
Fantastic.
The only problem is it was very expensive, very slow, and nobody bought it.
And have you got any bubble memory?
I don't know. I keep looking for some.
So if anyone watching this has got some bubble
Memory for a Fujitsu FM8, let me know.
please get in touch. Write in the comments. Okay, next up we've got a machine that I personally love. Is the Casio PV-2000.
It's a lovely machine. Lovely because
Look at this.
it's terrible.
This has actually got a new keyboard, I can see, because the other ones just fall apart.
They just dissolve. Yeah. It will be the worst keyboard you ever use because there's just no feedback. It's even worse than the ZX80 and the ZX81. It's a worse keyboard than that.
Wow.
But I love it because it's so bad.
But you can use it, is that like, you can use the arrow keys as a joystick, I assume?
You can use them as a joystick. Yeah, it does have a rather lovely joystick that comes with it. And one of the little things I like about it is the 2 fire buttons. You've got a fire button here and a fire button here. And this little switch changes them around.
Oh, fantastic.
So if this one is shoot and this one is grenade, you flick a little switch and now this one's shoot and this one's grenade. So it's what you want to use them for. So it's a lovely little
Yeah, so we saw on Quain's table earlier, we saw the PV-1000, and he mentioned there was a computerised version that came out. This is it.
That is it.
PV-2000.
Yeah, that is it.
Lovely machine.
Yeah.
And also earlier on Adrian's table, we saw the NEC 6001 Mark II, which he referred to as one of the best upgrades he's ever seen from the Mark I.
Right.
And getting to my point, this is the Mark I.
This is the Mark I. So a relatively poorly spec'd machine. This is the NEC 6001. Only has 16k of RAM. It has that infamous 6847 video chip. So basically everything's green.
Yeah.
You can really. To describe this, you might want to call it the Japanese equivalent of the BBC Micro, because the NEC 6001 was designed and built for their schools. So it's built like a tank. It's designed to be abused.
Weighs a ton.
It weighs a ton.
And it also sounds like Morse code when you type. It's got that click, hasn't it? Beep, beep, beep.
It does. Annoyingly, like all the NECs, it's not compatible with any other NEC. So the software that's for this is only for this. Or the Mark II, which was double everything. Double the RAM, double the speed, double everything. And a nicer keyboard. But I like the originality of the Mark I.
But again, another wonderful underdog that you champion every day.
Absolutely.
So no, that's fantastic. What is this?
So this is the only computer manufactured by Sega. So this is the Sega SC3000, and it came in two guises. It came in this one, which was sold for the European market with the Yeno name up here.
This is the bit that confused me.
Yeah, so it was tagged Yeno with the Sega bit down here. And then if you find its cousin, the other machine, you'll find that's the other way around. So you'll have Sega up here, and then you'll have a manufactured by Yeno.
This is what Phil had in the other room.
That's right. That's right. But it's a lovely machine. Although it's a chiclet keyboard, it's actually quite a nice chiclet keyboard.
I found they do actually type
is there
quite
such
well.
a thing? But it is quite a nice.
Yeah, it's surprisingly so.
Chiclet keyboard. It's probably it's probably the machine that did the best in the marketplace on my bench, because this was actually quite a successful machine. It did quite well, not as well as its console counterpart, but it did okay. And there's around 50 odd games for it.
Does it take Mark III games, or is it only Mark II and the original SG-1000?
Right, so it will take SG-1000 cartridges. It'll run those okay, but the SG can't run the cartridges for this.
Right, okay.
It's not because it's any more sophisticated, but they wanted keyboard input.
Okay.
It's as simple as that, yeah. Which you don't have on the console, obviously. So it's quite a nice machine. I'm glad to have a multi-cart for it, but it's lovely, and it's probably my best version of Hero is on this game.
Oh, wow.
On this computer, I love it. Absolutely love it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, moving on again to another lovely machine. Where you managed to find these, I don't know. But I mean, I know these two are Tomy's.
Yeah, so they're Tomy. So these are all from the Sanyo PHC range. I've got the 25, which is deemed the most powerful of the three. But when you say powerful, that's kind of in quotes. So it's a lovely designed machine, but spec-wise, it's pretty poor. It's only got 16k of RAM. It's got no sound. It's got a 6847 video chip in there, but they made the decision to make it mono.
Oh, really? Oh, well. Oh, ideal.
Awesome. And not having any sound. You know, it's a machine that was built to a budget, but just look at it, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's a gorgeous
it's a
machine.
very, very nice machine.
Yeah, it's really lovely. And the motherboard in there is a bit like the new brain. It's a dual motherboard. It's kind of
It's sort of sandwiched together.
It's
Yes,
half
I
with
know.
a ribbon
Yeah.
cable between them. So she does generate quite a lot of heat.
So what is this like to type on there?
Lovely. No, it's not bad at all. It's probably on the same caliber as the NEC.
Okay.
It's not quite got as much travel, but it's as nice to use.
And then the other one's just going back. There's one with a little less power, and then the yellowed one is a little bit more calculator-like. But still, to have the set is a very rare thing. Fantastic. Right, moving on. I'm going to go sideways a bit with this to show the form factor of it. Does that remind anyone of something? Maybe a slight Apple II
maybe.
And this is the...
This is the NEC PC-6001. So this machine came out in 1979.
Oh wow!
She's quite hefty. So like a lot of the NECs and a lot of the early Fujitsus, they're all metal. There's no plastic in here apart from the keyboard. It is a very, very nice machine. Not that many of them around, to be fair. Not an awful lot of software came out for it at the time, although there's been a bit of an influx of some homebrew pieces of software.
Fantastic.
And so there's now at least half a dozen games where you can run on it and
Oh, wow.
really get advantage.
Are they good?
They're okay. Yeah, they're okay. They're not too bad. I mean, it is a machine of its time, you know, so you're not going to get stunning graphics and stunning sound.
Of course, yeah.
But the keyboard is excellent. The design, the form factor is excellent. The version of BASIC is excellent.
Oh, great.
So it's quite a nice machine. And the only thing I had to do with this one is the power supply, which had some issues.
Do you think you'll be writing a game for it anytime soon?
I
Because
do
we know
have a
you like
tendency
to.
to write games for the underdogs. So I may very well write a game for it. I mean, it is a Z80 processor, so it's familiar territory. It's NEC's version of Z80, but it's still a Z80. Yeah, so maybe watch this space.
We will be watching indeed. And last but by no means least,
So this is the Sword M5 Pro. This particular one is badged the Sano primary computer, and so this was designed for the schools market. So this was Sword's last ditch attempt to try and sell off the M5. Because it was getting a bit long in the tooth by then. So if you do actually have a look underneath, it will be badged as the Sword M5 Pro. There we go.
oh, of course, yeah.
But it's absolutely no different to the standard Sword M5. There's nothing that makes it a Pro, other than it's a different colour. It's beige instead of the Sword brown and yellow, or the CGLs. We had them in this country, the
Yes,
CGL
yeah.
M5, which was blue. Nothing other than that. It's a slightly cost-reduced motherboard, so there's less ICs. That's it. It was just a last-ditch attempt to sell them.
Because didn't they have a junior as well?
There is a junior. I'm not sure whether that ever existed. Did it?
I couldn't.
I don't know. I can never find one. You see reference to them in the architecture,
Yeah.
in the documentation. So you get a few references to the Pro, and they make it sound like it's a better version than the M5. It's exactly the same. It's
Yeah, no different at all.
And so I'm not sure if the Junior is in that same ilk. Is it still just an M5?
Well, Adrian loves his M5, so we could ask him.
We could ask Adrian. Yeah, I don't know anybody who's got a Junior. I'm not even sure they ever existed, but if they did, I don't know. Comments below.
Get in touch. So we
Get
want
in touch.
bubble memory and
and
an
a Sword
M5
M5
Junior.
Junior. There you go. Brilliant.
Thanks ever so much,
No
Roy.
worries, mate.
Take it easy, mate.